I'm just really excited. I'm lucky to be here and to have been drafted here last year and for this franchise to put so many great resources in front of us.
Caitlin Clark just changed the WNBA in one night. What's up? It's Chloe, and this is Chloe WNBA, the place for the hottest WNBA highlights, breaking news, and everything you can't miss from around the league. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, share with your friends, and comment your thoughts below. I want to hear from you. The WNBA has seen stars before. It has seen MVPs. It has seen dynasties. But never has one rookie flipped the entire league upside down so quickly. Caitlin Clark did it in weeks. Her arrival wasn't just about points on the scoreboard. It wasn't just about shooting range or highlight reels. It was about the way one player could shift ticket sales, ratings, sponsorships, rivalries, culture, and even the way referees call games. This is how she changed the WNBA overnight. Let's start with the obvious, the ticket sales. Before Caitlin Clark, Indiana Fever games were quiet. The franchise hadn't been to the playoffs in 2016. Attendance hovered near the bottom of the league. Tickets were cheap, and even then, seats were left empty. Enter Caitlin Clark. And within days, everything changed. Her debut game was already sold out, but it didn't stop there. Suddenly, it wasn't just Fever fans buying tickets. Opposing arenas, places that struggled to fill half the building, were selling out when the Fever came to town. Teams actually moved games to bigger arenas just to fit the demand. That's unheard of in the WNBA. Imagine a rookie forcing franchises to find more seats, not for a playoff series, not for a championship, but for a regular season game. It wasn't just Indiana that felt it. Chicago, Washington, New York, Connecticut, everywhere she went, the Caitlin Clark effect followed. Season ticket sales jumped. Resale markets exploded. Fans who had never bought a WNBA ticket before were suddenly paying top dollar just to see her play. And the atmosphere? Completely different. Instead of quiet nights in small gyms, Fever games sounded like playoff finals. The noise, the signs, the standing ovations, every night with Caitlin Clark felt like a major event. Now let's talk about the ratings. The WNBA has been fighting for television relevance for years. There were always loyal fans, always a core audience, but mainstream numbers just weren't there. Caitlin Clark changed that instantly. Her debut game drew record-breaking numbers. Regular season broadcasts featuring the Fever were suddenly quadrupling average WNBA viewership. ESPN, ABC, even streaming platforms were reporting surges they hadn't seen before. We're talking millions of viewers tuning into WNBA games. For context, some of these numbers were bigger than established men's sports telecasts airing at the same time. And here's what's key. It wasn't just basketball diehards. The Caitlin Clark effect pulled in casuals, families, kids, people who had never once watched the WNBA in their lives. Suddenly, highlights of her logo threes, her no-look passes, her rivalries with veterans were leading SportsCenter. Talk shows like First Take were debating WNBA officiating. Clips were trending on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. For the first time in league history, the WNBA wasn't begging for coverage. It was driving it. And where there are eyeballs, there's money. Sponsorships that once hesitated to put big dollars into the WNBA suddenly saw opportunity. Brands wanted Caitlin Clark on billboards, in commercials, on social media. She wasn't just a player, she was a marketing machine. Jersey sales? Off the charts. Within days, her Fever jersey became one of the fastest selling in WNBA history. Merchandise in Indiana stores sold out. Even in opposing cities, fans were wearing her number. And it wasn't just her. The ripple effect was massive. Other players gained exposure by being on the court with her. Teams made more revenue from her appearances. Broadcasters finally had leverage to charge higher ad rates for WNBA games. The league's business model shifted almost overnight, all because of one rookie. But here's the thing. Attention in sports doesn't come from numbers alone. It comes from stories, from rivalries, from friction. And Caitlin Clark brought that in buckets. Her college rivalry with Angel Reese carried straight into the pros. Their matchups weren't just games, they were spectacles. Every bump, every stare-bound, every hard foul turned into a viral moment. Then came her battles with Sabrina Ionescu and the New York Liberty. Established stars wanted to prove the rookie hype was overrated. Caitlin wanted to prove she belonged. That tension created must-watch basketball. And the media, they couldn't get enough. Every game preview became a headline. Every matchup was framed as Caitlin versus somebody. And fans loved it. Rivalries gave the WNBA a drama it had long been missing. What Caitlin Clark did went beyond basketball. She brought in an entirely new audience. Kids were showing up with handmade signs. Families were traveling hours just to see her. Social media lit up after every highlight. For years, the WNBA had a loyal but small base. With Clark, it became mainstream. You could feel the difference inside arenas. The crowd energy wasn't just louder, it was different. It was younger, more diverse, more invested. The Fever suddenly had a national fan base, and the league as a whole had new life. But with all that spotlight came backlash. Some veterans were frustrated that a rookie was getting more attention than players who had been grinding for a decade. Analysts debated whether the hype was deserved. And referees, that's where things got heated. Calls started to feel inconsistent. Games got physical. Fans began to believe Clark wasn't just being tested, she was being targeted. Whether intentional or not, officiating controversies exploded, and instead of quiet debates, they were happening on national television and social media every single week. The league wasn't ready for this level of scrutiny, but once Clark arrived, there was no going back. Caitlin Clark didn't just join the WNBA, she transformed it. She turned regular season games into sellouts. She made TV ratings spike like never before. She opened sponsorship floodgates. She reignited rivalries. She brought in a new generation of fans. And yes, she forced the league to confront its own growing pains. One player, one rookie, one season, and the WNBA will never be the same again. The WNBA is growing fast. Ratings up, ticket sales up, rivalries hotter than ever. But with growth comes controversy. And right now, nothing is more controversial than the referees. And guess who said it out loud? Rebecca Lobo. Yes, Rebecca Lobo, Hall of Famer, ESPN analyst, and one of the most respected voices in women's basketball, just pulled the curtain back on officiating in the WNBA. And the timing couldn't be more explosive. Because this isn't just about missed calls. It's about how referees are handling Caitlin Clark. It's about whether the league is ready for the spotlight that Clark has brought. And it's about whether inconsistent officiating could damage the WNBA right when it's finally breaking through. Let's break it down. During a Fever game, after yet another questionable call against Caitlin Clark, Rebecca Lobo couldn't hold back. On air, she said what millions of fans were already screaming at their TVs. The referees were losing control. The physical play was out of hand. The whistles were inconsistent. And Clark, in particular, was being treated differently. That single comment went viral. Clips racked up millions of views online. Sports talk shows ran with it. Suddenly, it wasn't just fans on Twitter complaining about officiating. It was one of the most trusted voices in women's basketball saying it. When Rebecca Lobo talks, people listen. And this time, the league couldn't ignore it. So why was this such a big deal? Because Clark isn't just another rookie. She's the face of the league's new era. She's the reason ratings are up. She's the reason arenas are full. She's the reason brands are signing deals. But with all that attention comes scrutiny. And fans watching at home can't help but notice when she gets hacked on drives with no whistle, or when she gets called for fouls on plays where she barely touches her opponent. The problem isn't that Clark should get special treatment. It's that she seems to be getting different treatment. Some say refs are swallowing the whistle to toughen her up. Others say they're overcalling her to keep her in check. Either way, the inconsistency is obvious. And when games are being watched by millions, every missed call becomes magnified. Let's be real. This wouldn't be such a huge controversy without the clips. Every hard foul on Clark gets clipped, slowed down, and posted on social media within minutes. Every questionable call is dissected on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. Fans are editing montages of Clark getting shoved, bumped, tripped, and barely getting whistles. And those videos are pulling millions of views. The league can't escape it. The referees can't escape it. And Rebecca Lobo exposing the issue poured gasoline on that fire. Here's the thing. This isn't just about Clark. It's about the entire WNBA. Refereeing has always been a challenge in pro sports. But in the WNBA, where physical play has ramped up and rivalries are heating up, it's become a spotlight issue. Players are frustrated, coaches are frustrated, fans are frustrated. And now, with record-breaking ratings, every bad call is magnified like never before. Rebecca Lobo exposing the issue wasn't just about one game. It was a warning. If the league doesn't get officiating under control, it could hurt its growth. Because nothing kills momentum like fans believing games aren't fair. What makes this even spicier is how players themselves have reacted. Some veterans have basically said, good, let Caitlin take the hits. She needs to learn. They see the physicality as a rite of passage. But others, even opponents, have admitted the officiating feels inconsistent. Some say the refs don't know how to handle the pressure of calling games with millions watching.
And the younger players? They see what's happening to Clark and worry about what it means for them. If the league can't protect its biggest star, what does that say for everyone else? Now, here's where it gets tricky. The WNBA doesn't want to admit its referees are struggling. No league ever does. But at the same time, it can't ignore the headlines. It can't ignore Rebecca Lobo, and it definitely can't ignore millions of new fans demanding better officiating. Do they retrain refs? Do they bring in more experienced officials from other leagues? Do they change the rules to limit physical play? Whatever the solution, the WNBA is on the clock. Because Caitlin Clark isn't going away. The spotlight isn't going away, and the calls are only going to get louder. Rebecca Lobo didn't just make a passing comment. She set off a firestorm. By saying out loud what fans already knew, she forced the WNBA to confront its refereeing crisis. She exposed the inconsistency, the physicality, and the league's unpreparedness for the Caitlin Clark era. And here's the truth. The refs are no longer just background players. They're part of the story. In a league that's finally getting the attention it's always wanted, officiating might be the one thing that could hold it back. Every generation of sports has a turning point. For the NBA, it was Michael Jordan. For tennis, it was Serena Williams. For women's soccer, it was Mia Hamm. And now, for the WNBA, it's Caitlin Clark. But here's the million-dollar question. Is the WNBA actually ready for her? Because the Caitlin Clark effect is bigger than highlights, bigger than rivalries, bigger than rookie hype. It's about the league itself, the infrastructure, the officiating, the media machine, and whether women's basketball can handle the tidal wave of attention she's brought. Let's break it down. There's no denying the upside. The Caitlin Clark effect has been a once-in-a-generation boost for the WNBA. Ratings are soaring. Fever games are drawing audiences bigger than NBA Summer League broadcasts and some MLB regular season games. Merch is flying. Clark's jersey sales broke records immediately. And not just in Indiana, nationwide. Sponsorships are flowing in. Brands that ignored the league for years are suddenly signing multi-million-dollar deals. Media coverage is nonstop. Sports talk shows debate her daily. Social media trends every time she plays. This isn't normal growth. This is rocket fuel. The league, for the first time in decades, isn't asking for attention. It's commanding it. But here's the flip side. Growth comes with pressure. Caitlin Clark isn't just a rookie. She's the product. She's the storyline. She's the one fans are paying to see. And that puts the WNBA in a bind. Every foul she draws, every hard hit she takes, every missed call by referees, it's all magnified. Millions of new fans are watching closely, and they're not quiet when they don't like what they see. This isn't the WNBA of 5 years ago. This is a league suddenly living under the same microscope as the NBA or NFL. And the question is, can it handle that heat? Let's be honest, officiating was already shaky. But with Clark in the league, the cracks have become glaring. Too physical one night, too whistle-happy the next. Fans think refs are targeting her. Players think she's getting too much protection. Nobody's satisfied. The truth, referees weren't trained for this level of pressure. They weren't used to having every call dissected on social media. They weren't used to Hall of Famers like Rebecca Lobo calling them out on live TV. Now, every game feels like a test, not just for Caitlin Clark, but for the refs themselves. Here's another problem. How physical should the league be? Caitlin Clark is a shooter, a finesse player. Her game is about skill, spacing, and range. But veterans have made it clear, if you're coming into their league, you're gonna get bumped, shoved, and tested. That's created a clash of styles. Do fans want to see Clark taking elbows and cheap shots, or do they want to see her scoring 30 from deep and dazzling crowds? Right now, the WNBA hasn't figured that balance out, and until it does, the physical play debate will keep raging. The Caitlin Clark effect isn't just about basketball. It's about media. She's on every highlight show. She's on every sports podcast. She's the headline in every article. That's great for visibility, but it also creates backlash. Some players feel overshadowed. Some fans think the coverage is too much. And the media itself, desperate for clicks, sometimes turns every minor controversy into a full-blown scandal. That's the cost of superstardom, and it's a cost the WNBA hasn't had to pay before. Let's not ignore this. Veterans in the league have opinions. Some see Clark as a savior. They know she's raising salaries, growing exposure, and building the fan base. Others, they're not thrilled about the hype. They've been grinding for years with little recognition, and now a rookie gets all the love. That tension shows up on the court. It shows up in press conferences, and it adds another layer of drama for fans. But for the league, it's tricky. Too much resentment could fracture locker rooms and fan bases. Here's the reality. The Caitlin Clark effect is both a challenge and a gift. Yes, the league is under pressure. Yes, officiating looks shaky. Yes, veterans are frustrated. But this is also the biggest chance the WNBA has ever had to break into the mainstream, to finally become a permanent fixture in the sports conversation. If the league can adapt, if it can clean up officiating, market rivalries smartly, and protect its stars without overprotecting them, it can ride this wave for years. If not, the momentum could fade, and that would be a disaster. So is the WNBA ready for the Caitlin Clark effect? Right now, the answer is not fully, but it has no choice. The spotlight is here. The fans are here. The scrutiny is here. And Caitlin Clark isn't slowing down. This is the moment that will define the league's future. Either it rises to the challenge, or it risks losing the biggest opportunity in its history. The night felt different. Even before tip-off, you could sense the buzz. This wasn't just another regular season game. This was Indiana Fever versus New York Liberty. Caitlin Clark against Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and one of the most stacked rosters in the league. The Liberty were already championship favorites. The Fever? A rebuilding team, but suddenly the hottest ticket in basketball, all because of Caitlin Clark. And from the opening minutes, the intensity was unreal. Every possession felt like a playoff moment. The Liberty came out strong, feeding Stewart inside, trying to establish dominance. But Clark answered with her signature deep threes, shots from way beyond the arc that had the crowd gasping. And here's the key. It wasn't just Fever fans locked in. This game pulled in new viewers. Casual sports fans, NBA fans curious to see what the hype was about. Even people who hadn't watched a WNBA game in years were tuning in. The broadcast numbers proved it. This single matchup spiked into one of the most watched WNBA regular season games in over a decade. Why? Because it had everything. Drama, superstars, underdogs, and that feeling that something historic might happen. The Liberty tried to blitz Clark on defense, sending double teams high up the court. But that only opened up passing lanes, and that's where she shined, whipping no-look assists to Aaliyah Boston, threading bounce passes through traffic, setting her teammates up for easy buckets. On the other end, Stewart and Ionescu were relentless. Stewart hit mid-range jumpers over defenders. Ionescu drilled back-to-back threes that silenced the Fever crowd for a moment. Every time it felt like New York would pull away, Clark brought Indiana back. Then came the fourth quarter, the moment this game turned into the game. Clark pulled up from the logo, splash. Crowd erupts. Next possession, she drives baseline, fakes a pass, and finishes with a reverse layup. The Fever take the lead, and suddenly it feels like a movie. The Liberty responded with championship-level execution. Stewart and Jonquel Jones pounded the glass. Sabrina hit a dagger three with under 2 minutes left. The arena was shaking, and the broadcast captured every angle. The sweat, the intensity, the history being made. And even though the Fever didn't win, the takeaway was crystal clear. This wasn't just about one night. This was about what the WNBA had become. The Fever vs. Liberty game showed the league could draw massive attention, sell out arenas, and dominate sports conversations outside of its usual circle. ESPN pushed highlights across every channel. Social media exploded with clips of Clark's deep threes and Stewart's clutch buckets. This was proof, undeniable proof, that the WNBA had officially leveled up. Because one game, one matchup, became a national story. And that hadn't happened in years.